guys, we're here today with another National Dex Anything Goes Showdown Live. I haven't done one of these in a while, but if you guys enjoy the content and you want to see more, leave a like on the video and subscribe. In today's video, we're going to be showcasing Calyrex Shadow Rider, but with Ghost Team Z. This is mostly just because I figured it could be kind of funny to title the video, What If Sword and Shield had Z moves? So you guys will hopefully see some Ghost Calyrex. One thing I will say is that this tier is very chaotic in terms of actually finding good teams, so hopefully we will just blow through some of the not so good ones. But yeah, I mean, at this point, as I said, if you enjoy, leave a like below, and with that said, I'm just gonna maul this first team with Zacian, because realistically, like, even with Fake Out Lop, we just Sword Dance up, and then actually, no, never mind, because Ditto can come in. We're just gonna go for the Behemoth Blade. And I just noticed as well, this window is slightly off, so we're literally just gonna lower it right to here, and then perfect. Okay, yeah, so their Ditto came in, obviously. Ditto gets the second boost. Really don't mind that, because it's gonna have to lock into something. And the Zacian set doesn't really have a good lock, especially against Necrozma. And seeing that it's locked into Behemoth Blade, we could actually just go for Stealth Rocks here. If Volcarona's not going to be running heavy duty boots, this is gonna massacre Volcarona. And even still, I don't really mind this thing being locked into Behemoth Blade, because it only has 3 more. And I don't really need Duskmane for much else in the team. So as long as I make sure that Ditto is KO'd before I actually bring in Zacian again, we're pretty set. So I'm going to Moonlight up. Oh, they actually switched. Okay, so my opponent chokes a little bit, but I'm perfectly fine with this. I'm actually going to go for Sunsteel here. If my opponent tries to... Yep, okay, so they tried to trick me. It's perfectly fine. Because now their Espeon's gone, which is also actually pretty good for me, to be fair. Mostly just because of the fact that if my opponent cleared hazards, they're now up to stay for the rest of the game. One thing I can do, I can go right into Groudon on this. Volcarona actually means nothing to me. And then we can just go for the Rock Tomb. And Rock Tomb should completely take out Volcarona here. There's literally no chance in hell this Pokemon actually stays in, though. Well, they don't really have a switch in, actually. Oh, they're going to go for Dynamax. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Max over with, that's actually kind of clever, I can't lie. Okay, so what do I actually do against this? This might actually have become a problem. I'm trying to think. So I think that my best play here would probably be... This is probably just 3 attacks. It's only +1. I'm going to go for Max Strike. Well, actually, what I'm going to do... I'm going to go for Max Guard into Max Strike into Max Guard. And this way, then I get my priority attack off. Not only this, but I can clear through the Volcarona's max entirely as well. So we should be able to take this hit pretty effortlessly, but with the Sun Up, I am a little bit worried about our next one. So we've now dropped the speed on this Volcarona, and we actually do outpace it. I could actually probably just go for another Max Strike now that I'm saying it out loud. Oh wait, never mind, because we don't actually guarantee outpace this. I'm still going to go for it anyway, because realistically, this has to be timid. It did no damage even with the max up, so I'm not really too concerned. And as you can see here, we do actually KO the Volcarona, which, I can't lie, that almost was actually pretty scary. Good tech with the max overgrowth. I actually kind of like that. Because I don't know if that KO'd Pedon without the hacks, but it definitely did in this particular instance. So it still ended up being more annoying than I thought it would be. We're just going to throw in Duskmane though, and we're going to let Lopunny take us out. If this thing goes for an attack to KO us, I'm really fine with that. But I think that my game plan here is... Honestly, I think I'm just going to go for Sunsteel, because I know for a fact that I have Pokemon that can just outpace Lopunny, and my opponent's actually going to bring in Ditto. Okay, well, I'm fine with that. They really only have Sunsteel Strike, and I could just bring in a Veltal. If they go for Toxic, so be it. Their switch-ins would be their own Veltal and Lopunny. So we see a Veltal coming in, and I think I'm just going to U-turn on this. Veltal realistically is just pretty much fodder, and their Veltal just allows in our Zacian, so I'm pretty okay with that. Thankfully, they burned their Dynamax, actually, because if they didn't burn their Dynamax, then we could have been a little bit screwed. But thankfully, though, they just got rid of it on the Volcarona for some reason. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to go for a Behemoth Blade. I don't want this thing going for Heat Wave on me. And truthfully, I don't really mind if the Ditto comes in anyway. It's taken so much Rocks damage that I should be pretty all set to just swap into something else. I think that my game plan here is going to be swap into... I think I'm going to swap into a Veltal, actually, because Veltal really doesn't matter at this point in the game. And then Ooh, they went for close combat. Okay, perfect. So I can actually pop the Calyrex. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for, let's see, what's my moveset again? I'm 3 attacks. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pop the Psy Shock because Lopunny's clearly coming in. And then they're going to go into something else. It's probably going to be, well, yeah, they're obviously going to go into Ditto here, which is perfectly fine by me, actually, because they don't know that I'm Sash. And not only this, they might just forfeit just on the premise that I might be Sash. But even still, I could definitely just switch around the Calyrex, considering, yeah, it's +1, but at the same time, I do have options to making sure that I don't actually get KO'd by this. So my guess is they're going to come in and, oh, they actually just forfeit. Okay, so they didn't even, yeah. So realistically, there were actually ways that they could have still won that, because the fact that I sacked a Veltal, not thinking that I would position around Calyrex Shadow. So I'm kind of shocked that they ended up actually forfeiting, because they definitely had a good chance to win that still, albeit I would have been able to play around it, but they had the chance. We're just going to Molo switch Shadow Rider, Calyrex. This is pretty much a nothing game. I would forfeit it just to, you know, get through faster, but luckily they did. Okay, sweet. I would say, because I don't want to tilt their ladder rating, because then these games only get worse. It's the benefit of being in anywhere that's not 1700 above in this ladder, but at the same time, I haven't played anything goes in so long, and I didn't want to grind out just to do the vid. But yeah, I mean, we're doing okay though. We're 1-0 for actual games that have happened today. So I'm gonna try and get 2 more, and we'll see what happens here. But I'm hoping for another Calyrex game. Here we go. Okay, well this is definitely a Calyrex game, but not for the reasons I would have liked. We'll just lead off with Calyrex, and we'll see if this person forfeits. They're pretty low on the ladder, so my guess is that they probably will. We're just gonna pop Never-Ending Nightmare on this, to be honest. Or actually, no. I do actually need to preserve against this, because this Pokemon might go for a Dynamax, and especially, or it might just be Sash Shadow Ball. So they're actually gonna go for Z Celebrate. Okay, then I'm really wishing I just KO'd this. That was like the worst play I could have made then, knowing this is Z Celebrate. We'll go for Foul Play. It doesn't really matter if they go into, they go into Circuitry actually. Okay. Well, Circuitry also doesn't really matter, because I can just go into Groudon on this. And between Groudon, even if this does have like some sort of Z move for me, I'm perfectly fine with that. I believe my Groudon should take a hit from this guaranteed. They're gonna go for Max Airstream. Okay. Oh my god, they did so much damage. Okay. Well, Groudon's going down yet again. Yet again to another Max Overgrowth, I guess. Okay. So I think my game plan here is we're going to go for... We're gonna go into Arceus here, I think, first. And we're gonna go for a Max Guard, because I want to stall through this thing's last turn of the Max. And then I'm going to go for Earthquake on that following turn into Max Guard into E-Speed if this is still alive. But I need to make sure this Pokemon's obviously KO'd, so we're going to go for Max Quake here. I should be able to take a hit. I would be genuinely shocked if I don't. I know it's a Circuitry, to be fair. Oh my god, my opponent didn't even try an attack. Well, I'll certainly take that then, because I really just need to KO the Baton Pass target. So Espeon at this point shouldn't really be able to pass anything else substantial, maybe a Calm Mind at best. I think the Banette might get Baton Pass, but I'm perfectly fine with that. We could just go for Max Strike here, and Espeon's really going to do no actual damage. That's how these Baton Pass teams usually work. They have one of really good Pokemon like Circuitry, or one really good Pokemon to pass into like Circuitry, I should say, that typically isn't great, but it'll be really amazing with Baton Pass. And then from there, they typically suck. So this Banette's obviously going to go for Prankster, Will-O-Wisp. I'm actually going to go make a very... No, I'm not going to make the aggressive play. I was going to make the aggressive play to Calyrex. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go into Duskmane so I can go for a Toxic on this. Which I know might sound stupid to go into Toxic on onto my Psychic type or my Ghost type, but that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go for the Toxic here, and then my opponent's actually going to go for Foul Play. Okay, well this does like no damage to me. So we can basically just let Banette die, and I'm just going to keep Moonlighting up. Actually, I'm going to go for Stealth Rocks first, just in the off chance that Cinderace is not Boots. So my opponent clearly has no actual way to damage me. So I'm just going to go for Moonlight here. If they go for Shadow Sneak, that's fine. It will do no damage, and everything else should, again, be pretty good. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we'll just let Banette kill itself. I'll go for Toxic, just in the off chance that my opponent brings in something else. I don't really need to go for anything else. Okay, so Banette's trying to make me take the Banette out. Okay, well, I'll just go to a Veltal then, because Veltal should guarantee take any hit this wants to go for. Worst thing it could do is Metronome something like KO move. But yeah, okay, so Banette's gone. Cinderaces now are basically the only thing this team has left, and I can probably just Foul Play these. if it goes for like a sucker punch or something to resist or a high jump kick, I don't really care that much. But it seems like my opponent disconnected. They're definitely not coming back. Just knowing how this game has went, we're going to look for another game in the ladder because I cannot imagine my opponent is coming back from that. Like if we really go back and look at that game, we're gonna come back in like a minute or so and we're gonna have to win. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you hop on ladder at 7:30 in the morning. But you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it. So we're doing pretty good for the day. Yeah, and my opponent is still not actually even came back to the game. Beautiful. Okay, so we actually have a pretty real team. I think this is... Oh, never mind. Someone who's kind of low on the ladder. Alright, well, that's honestly fine. In terms of their team, they're probably going to lead off with Skarmory. If not Skarmory, maybe Arceus, to be fair. I think that either way that my best lead is definitely Groudon in this case. They're going to lead off with Grimmsnarl. Okay, that's actually perfectly fine as well. So what I think I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for Toxic on Grim. I don't want Grimmsnarl just to try and get up foul plays and screens and all that. My guess is it's probably going to go for Screams. But I think that I'm just going to go for a Toxic here, basically. Oh, they're going to go for Taunt. Okay, so this person actually knows what they're doing. What I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to go for a Rock Tomb. My guess is that... Okay, so Salamence didn't end up coming in. I think it's still fine to just go for Rock Tomb, basically. I don't really want Salamence coming in for free. And not only that, actually, Grimmsnarl's probably going to go for Taunt this turn. Oh, it didn't actually go for Taunt. Okay. Well, even if Grimmsnarl goes... So my guess is the Grimmsnarl's going to go into Salamence in this turn, seeing that I went for a Precipice Blades this time. So I'm going to go for Rock Tomb now. Okay, yeah, so they went for the Taunt. That's perfectly fine as well. This should still solve through another turn of Taunt, at least, going this way. Because if I went for Precipice Blades instead, I'm taunted for 2 turns. And now I'm only going to be taunted for 1 more turn. So that's still actually pretty good. My opponent will probably... They're probably going to bring in Lugia. No, not Lugia. Salamence or Arceus. I can't imagine they bring in anything else. But to be fair, I also don't know why they would have went... Yeah, okay, so I was going to say, I don't know why they'd go Salamence if they were going for Taunt. Because if they were going for Taunt, their worst case scenario for me would be dropping their speed indefinitely with Rock Tomb and then bringing in Zacian. So this is still not great, but it's not terrible either. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for Precipice Blades. I don't really need this Pokemon around, but I do need damage on this Arceus though. Thankfully at the very least though, this Arceus, I mean, the worst I could do is click Earthquake, which if it has it, yeah, that'll take me out. Okay, it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's Life Orb Arceus. Okay, well that's actually also fine. I'm going to go for a Dynamax here, and I'm going to go for a Max Steel Spike. I want to boost my defense up a bit, and I think that making sure that we just get some damage on Arceus is probably the most important thing right now, especially seeing that this is a Life Orb Arceus. The fact that we're boosting our defense should hopefully help with at least, even if this does go for like a +4 or +6, we could take at least a single hit from this and get a Toxic off later. I figured if this is 3 attacks, my best case scenario would be making sure that this Pokemon is not getting any recovery back, and the fact that it's 2 attacks to recover, we now know it's full set basically, so I'll certainly take that. Not only this, but the fact that my opponent has now also locked themselves into Dynamax at this point, they still have to Dynamax for another turn, which is actually pretty good, because even once we do lose the Dynamax at this point, they'll have to take Life Orb plus the Sunsteel. And what I can actually do here... Actually, no, they're probably going to go for Max Guard. It doesn't matter either way. My play is clicking Toxic here. But good play on my opponent's end at the very least. I'm definitely just going to click Toxic at this point, though. Not only the fact that we obviously have our defense boost, but my opponent also has to click Recovery here, or they have to sack Arceus. So I'm fine with this either way. My best play is objectively clicking Sunsteel here. Not Sunsteel, Moonlight, because I can just recover past this at this point. The turn that Arceus clicks Swords Dance is the turn I'll probably just go hard into Calyrex, I think. Because I don't really need Calyrex at all. Actually, no, Calyrex is pretty good for that Lugia, I can't lie. Okay, well, it's fine. We have our Necrozma back at full. If Marshadow comes in, I'm definitely going to switch, because I don't really want this thing getting a Spectral Thief off for +3 Fizz Death. That'll make a Veltal kind of annoying, actually, to check this Pokemon. Not that it would be impossible, but it makes the job a little harder, because my best way of attacking this would be Foul Play. And I'd rather not let Marshadow actually try and cheese me out, so I think I'll switch hard into a Veltal instead of staying in, even though I could probably take an attack and go for a Toxic. If Salamence comes in here, that's probably fine. I can actually just stay on that. Same for Lugia, and same for Skarmory. So actually, Marshadow kind of has to come in here. I'm not sure why my opponent's even really thinking this one out. They lose no matter what if they go into any other Pokemon, actually. Because if my opponent loses Lugia, then they lose at least a pseudo check to Zacian. I won't act like it's an amazing one, but it's a pseudo check. It's at least a way that can actually take a hit and then go for an attack. That Marshadow Scarf, I could actually see it maybe not coming in right now, but even still, I think it's the best play. Skarmory just does absolutely nothing besides set hazard at this point, and even still, it doesn't really matter if Skarmory comes in because I can actually just go right into Zacian on that instead of Sword Stance. And then if Salamence comes in, I just go for Toxic, and going for Toxic at Salamence is amazing for me. To be fair though, since Refresh is not actually cut in National Dex anything goes, it could have Refresh in this reset, but there's an equally viable chance that this has Dragonette's Roost, Facade, and Filler move, whether Earthquake or Double Edge. So I'm actually pretty fine with the fact that that might be a play. My opponent does go into Marshadow as I expected though. We're just going to go into a Veltal because we have no reason not to. If they're bulk up, then that's actually pretty bad for us, but my guess is as they did, they're going to go for Special Defense this turn anyway. We'll go for a U-turn at this point because I am definitely slower than this Marshadow and we can get around the bulk up like we just saw here. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to go into Zacian at this point, and I'm just going to go for the Behemoth Blade. We should get off some really strong damage. If Skarmory comes in, I'm actually not too concerned. So we see the Marshadow is basically KO'd. I don't mind the Marshadow getting a +1 attack boost, because at this point, I think what's in my best interest is just going hard into Necrozma actually, because if this decides to go for a Shadow Sneak here, it should KO itself. Oh, it's going to go for Drain Punch. Oh, that's actually pretty bad. Alright, well, it's not too bad actually. I'm going to go for Toxic at this point though, because now we don't have the defense boosts to kill up, and my opponent actually just traded the Marshadow. Okay, well, I'm fine with that too. I'm not going to lie, I thought they might go for another Drain Punch there, but I'll take that at the very least. We're going to go into Calyrex though, because Calyrex should actually start completely massacring my opponent. First things first, we're going to go for just a regular Astral Barrage, because if my opponent switches out here, that's fine. They don't really have a switch in though. And I can definitely just go for a Psyshock at this point. My opponent really has like no way of actually taking this with Skarmory because it'll do more than 10%. Once the Salamence comes in, I'm going to burn my Z move just to guarantee the KO. And then Lugia, actually I'll burn it on Lugia because I'll be +2 at this point. And I may as well just KO the Lugia before it goes for like a Shadow Ball or something with multi-scale. Like you guys could see how much that took that. Whereas if I waited on the Z move, well, I probably would actually guarantee KO'd if I waited on the Z move anyway. But it's still fine. I think this was still the play to pop it at all on Lugia versus not popping it on Lugia, because now Salamence should just completely die to Astral Barrage and we're pretty set. So we're going to KO the Salamence at this point with Astral Barrage, and that should win its game. Calyrex yet again proving why this is such a broken Pokemon. My opponent did well in that game, so GG well played to my opponent. For someone who's only in the 1300s, they're pretty good. Probably the best game we've had today, and we fought someone who was actually closer to our rating. So this will be our last game of the day though, yet another real team, so I'll take that. We get to end off on a real team. I love when Kiramoi gets used. This is actually a not bad Pokemon in my opinion in the format, but it's a Pokemon you don't really see a lot. My guess is my opponent's probably going to lead off with Groudon, so I think I'm actually going to lead off with Arceus and try and lead a bit aggressive on this. My opponent actually leads off with Arcfairy. Okay, so this is a Pokemon I definitely don't want to switch into Groudon on, because my guess is this is Toxic, Judgment, Flamethrower, and Recover, but it might also be Earth Power over one of those. Well, actually, no, I could definitely go for no, I don't want to go for a Sword Dance here. I'm just going to go into Duskmane. There's no reason not to, even if it's Flamethrower, I don't mind. Even with Will-O-Wisp, I don't mind, because Duskmane's job this game is honestly just to get up Rocks and Toxic. So I'm going to get up the Stealth Rocks first, because unlike my opponent's team, my team doesn't really mind the Stealth Rocks going up, because we have Boots and a Veltal, and my Calyrex isn't Sash. But my opponent's team, on the other hand, has a Salamence that is guaranteed going to be affected, and an Arceus that's guaranteed to be affected. Because especially with Arceus Fairy, mine's a lot more having the Rock Step than my Arceus normal does. So I'll certainly take that. Arceus is now Toxic as well, so if this is not a Refresh Arceus, which is a lot more niche this generation anyway, then that's really good for us. My guess is that my opponent might actually switch here, but I think it's going to be into Duskmane, so I'm going to go for Sunsteel anyway, just in case. Yep, Duskmane comes in. Okay. So I can actually just go right into a Veltal on this. Well, no, I think I'm actually going to go into Groudon on this, because I can go for a Sword Stance pretty easily, actually. The exception would be, of course, this pops into Ultra Necrozma. Ooh, this is looking like an Ultra Necrozma. Okay, what I think I'm going to do here, I kind of have to go for a Precipice anyway. It's Dynamax, actually. It's Weakness Policy. Fuck. Okay. This is pretty bad. I really hate this set, actually, I can't lie. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go into Archie's normal, actually, and I'm going to... I think what I'm gonna do here, I'm going to pop a sword stance. Let me actually run a calc real quick, because I'm actually genuinely curious. So, Duskmane, Necrozma, Offensive Dragon Dance, Dynamax versus Arceus, Extreme E-Killer. How much bulk do I actually have in the set? 381. So I'm pretty sure it's not invested. Yeah, it's not invested. 317 defense. Okay, so we do have some defense investment. Okay, so with this in mind, we should actually take this pretty well, actually, even with the max up. Oh wait, no, this is +1. Never mind. We do not take this pretty easily. We might live it, to be fair, but we don't outpace. So I have to go for Dynamax and go for Max Quake. It's the only way I actually take the hit. But I do take a couple hits, to be fair, because as we saw there, it only did 42%. But we're gonna probably pop a weakness policy here, sadly. Yep. Okay, that's probably game. GG well played to my opponent. My opponent's definitely not bad. We're gonna at least go for Max Guard to try and stall through the Dynamax, because that might give us an out. And also just obviously having more recovery back is pretty good, or more HP back is pretty good. But I'm almost certain this is actually pretty much the game. They got a really good turn with that Duskmane, not gonna lie. Okay, so they take us out. Yep, that makes sense. We're gonna go into... I think I'm gonna go into a Veltal here, and I'm just gonna foul play it. I'm gonna really just hope I can take a single hit from +3 Sunsteel, which I don't think is possible. Yeah, it's not possible. Understandable. I wonder if I could have taken that. Oh no, because this already had this is a Dynamax. There's no way in hell I took that. Maybe I just outpace, and I'll just go for never ending. Oh my god, we outpace. Okay, thank god. Alright, so Calyrex might actually bring this back for us. To be fair, I probably should have done this first, in all honesty, because I think the odds of a Veltal living were a lot lower, and we lost a pretty good check to Marshadow, so I might actually still lose this, to be fair. But I could have had an opportunity to win, and I probably should have at least checked for that. At the very least, though, we're making this take Rocky Helmet damage, which is pretty good. Not letting us get a setup turn is actually amazing for Zacian to come in. To be fair, though, I think my greater issue is with Groudon. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to make a really, really aggressive play that I probably shouldn't make, but I kind of have to make it at this point. So I'm going to go for Sword Stance. My guess is that Groudon is coming in this turn, and Groudon can take a hit currently. But actually, let me double check this. Zacian Crowned. I'm pretty sure we are adamant. Yeah, we're adamant. Hell yeah. So with Behemoth Blade, I want to see... Okay. Behemoth Blade versus Groudon. Groudon Primal. This literally comes down to this turn. So we're going to be +2. Close combat. Close combat. Neither would KO. Okay. So I have to go for a Sword Stance here. Okay, Salamence comes in. Okay, this is actually really good for us. Salamence coming in gives us at the very least a good turn to just go for a Behemoth Bash here. And we should be able to KO something. If Groudon comes in, that's fine. Because at the very least, with Groudon coming in, it's going to have to take the Behemoth Bash plus the Stealth Rocks plus the Close Combat. Mega Salamence should die to this hit. Beautiful. Okay, so Groudon's coming in now. Alright. So I guess it's going to come down to... Can we KO it +4? Okay. We kind of just need to go for the Close Combat and hope that we take it out. We did not take it out. Unfortunate. It is what it is. Sometimes you just lose a game. I couldn't have really gone for Behemoth Blade, though, because this KO'd me either way. And Marshadow just picks up the game at this point. We're just going to go for Astral Watch. At least get our KO, to be fair. That's something, if nothing else. But, yeah, we guarantee lose at this point. Because Marshadow guarantee takes us out. But good game to my opponent, at the very least. It was a really solid set. I definitely choked, to be honest. But even still, I don't actually know if I won, because Kieran White was actually fairly good against me at that point. And if it's not a choice, Kieran White, I think that my opponent actually had that. But very good game by my opponent nonetheless. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live today. If you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. With that said, I'll see you guys in Wednesday's video for another discussion on Pokemon buffs. And with that said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys.